button.
Well, hello, I'm here with Doug to talk about AI-generated malware and other things. It is Tuesday, July 29, 2025. And so, the thing that caught my attention are reports of this new thing called Koski, which is a Linux miner. It infects Linux servers, and the thing about it is, once you've got it on there, it uses many techniques to establish resistance and concealment, installs a rootkit, schedules cron jobs, alters startup files, and so on. And the thing that made people conclude that it's written by AI is that it has an impressive array of troubleshooting methods to connect to its command and control infrastructure, resetting and changing proxy and DNS settings, erasing firewall rules, etc. And security researchers have flagged verbose modular code structures, well-commented logic, and defensive programming platforms as signs that large language models played a role in writing Koski. And an article came out about how Anthropic uses Claude code, saying this is how it works. They say many of the use cases of AI generated code are predictable: debugging, navigating code bases, managing workflows, but others surprised them. Lawyers built phone tree systems. Marketers generated hundreds of ad variations in seconds. Data scientists created complex visualizations without knowing JavaScript. So the pattern is agentic coding is not just accelerating traditional development, it's dissolving the boundary between technical and non-technical work, turning anyone who can describe a problem into someone who can build a solution. And I've seen blogs about this. They say, I love AI generated coding because I can't remember all the languages. Like this happens to me. I'm writing Python, then I have to write PHP. I can't remember where the semicolons are. I can't remember all the goofy little differences in like the substring function and stuff. And they say, you don't need to worry about that anymore. Let the AI take care of that. You just figure out what you want it to do. So it sort of elevates you from being the hands-on bit monkey, putting in code bit by bit, to like the manager telling him, okay, make it do this, make it do that, where your thought is like the flow chart and such. So that's interesting. And to that extent, it may justify some of all these tech layoffs that are getting all the attention. Um, that's the point. This is what I'm trying to convey to companies I consult for, is that the way to use AI is to give people a useful tool that helps them do their job. And then maybe you don't need so many people, but you don't just lay off people and then try to plug in an AI where a human was. That is not going to do it.
Right,
And
right.
anyway, another thing that caught my attention is an article about a flaw in Microsoft Apple Intelligence, which is basically Apple's version of Windows Recall, or so I thought. So Apple Intelligence is running AI on your machine. It's creating a database somewhere of information, and that database is not sufficiently protected. There's a thing called Apple's Transparency, Consent, and Control framework, and you probably know this, like if you install Zoom and you want to use it to do what we're doing right now, it pops up and says, oh, you have to enable Zoom to access the camera. That's what this is. It's the same thing as like an iPhone when you install an app and it says, wait, this app has permission to access the internet, permission to access my local files and such. That's what the framework is to protect you. So none of the apps can access your private data unless you have explicitly approved that. But there's a bypass. You can use Spotlight, which is the equivalent of a thing that draws the desktop, part of the system that draws the desktop and file pictures, and they call it the Spotlight attack. It uses the privileged access of Spotlight plugins to access sensitive files and steal their contents. So it can steal your photo and video metadata, geolocation data, face recognition data, photo albums, search history, deleted photos and videos, all from Apple Intelligence data. So apparently, Apple Intelligence is in fact recording that stuff or information about all that stuff in some kind of local file, which is not sufficiently protected, which is exactly what Windows Recall did. So when I did that, I said, well, gee, I better check. And I checked, and my Mac M1 has Apple Intelligence installed and turned on without telling me. So they did what people screamed about Microsoft doing about a year ago. Let's just turn on recall for everybody. And everybody said, no, 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 don't turn that on unless I ask for it and I explicitly approve it. Well, Apple's turned this thing on and it had a security flaw. So now apparently they patched the security flaw back in March. So Hopefully it's not too bad. But the other thing I did is I said, well, now that I've got this Apple Intelligence, what will it do? How do I use it? And the answer is it does absolutely nothing of the slightest value. There's some photo retouching feature in some photo app I don't use. And the one thing it did, which I think I've noticed, is if people send me like 5 text messages, instead of having a thing on the left that just has the first few words of the message, it has like an AI generated summary of the message. This person sent you like 4 messages about their trip and then comments about a movie or something. That's the only AI feature I've noticed.
Hmm.
So anyway, I think it's turned on all my devices. Not that I wanted it to be really, or I sort of would appreciate it even being informed that it's turned on, but it's on. So if I get hacked, I'll let you know.
So, Sam, you know what I'm wondering? With all the marketing that Apple has done
Oh yeah.
about AI
Oh yeah.
and the hardware specific features that they
Yeah.
claim to be offering,
Yep.
and I guess I'll include Microsoft in this. Where are the class action lawsuits?
There is one against Apple.
Is there?
Yeah, because
Okay.
they actually said everybody has to buy a new iPhone like about 6 months
Right.
to get these new exciting features. And then when you bought the phone, there were no new exciting features. There are actually some people suing them saying, come on, these features are pathetic. Um, I think
Yeah.
I think they'll survive because they did offer some features. They're just really lame features like removing a background part of an image or something. But but I think most people are in general applauding Apple. And instead of rolling out some half-baked thing like recall that makes a scandal, they're very conservative. Apple's never a cutting edge company. They're always like a couple of years late, but hopefully with a superior product. And
Yeah.
I think Microsoft added AI to Notepad and Paint and stuff like that. And who are you fooling?
Why do you need AI with Notepad?
I guess it automatically generates, completes your sentences or something. And
Yeah. Okay.
I know, I
I,
mean,
I mean, the reason you use Notepad is because it's simplistic.
that's right. That's why I have a thing. I found a thing on my Mac called Paintbrush that gives me basically Microsoft Paint for my Mac because that's what I want. When I take a screenshot, I want to do a simple thing, like add a little
Right.
letter at one spot
Yeah.
or something. I don't want Photoshop or something with 100 options. I want this little simple drawing program to make a little minor change in an image, and that's what it is. I don't
Yeah.
want any
Yeah.
AI in it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So anyway, that's the exciting AI news. What have you got?
So, boy, I've got several stories here. I guess the big one is go out tonight, right? Which is the 29th, and there should be a double meteor shower.
Oh yeah, I heard something about 2 meteor showers colliding or something.
Yeah, we're passing, the Earth is passing through the trail of two different comets.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's better if you're in the southern hemisphere for one. And some people are saying, the press is overdoing it and saying how many meteors are going to see. And some of the photos are time lapse, which just looks like it's hailing, with meteors, but you should be able to see a few per, maybe about one every 2, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because the the reading I did on this is one meteor that we're going to pass through, or one comet that we're passing through the tail of. The meteors will be much faster, and the other one will be a little bit slower.
Yeah. Well,
And I think I also read something about the color. Color is going to be slightly different as well.
yeah. Well,
So depending on where you are, but it's really hard to find a dark sky. Even with the moon, I think we have a waning moon right now. It's getting a little bit larger. You should be able to still see them.
yeah.
So I don't know. What else you got?
All
I've
right.
got, maybe I should jump into my AI story as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
So here's the AI story. Sam, how much are AI engineers being paid these days? You're going out, let's say you're looking for a
Well,
job.
if you actually can help develop AI products, those people are
Yeah.
getting paid a lot. I mean, the top ones are being sniped for like contracts of 10 or $20 million a year.
How
Um,
much?
10 or 20 million, I think, is what I heard.
How much?
There's even more.
Keep
I know,
going.
I think it's Meta is poaching the ones from OpenAI and offering them
Right.
just ridiculous amounts of money. I don't remember how
Yeah.
much.
What's a ridiculous amount of money?
Well, you better tell me. I forget.
The story I read is $100 million or more.
Yeah. And, this totally matches their insane outlays in hardware. Everybody is believing, just like they did in 1999 about the internet, that there's this incredible pot of gold. Just 1 or 2 years in the future, we're going to make so many billions of dollars that it's worth just throwing all the money you can possibly find at this right now to be first. And I very much doubt it, just like the internet. It is a cool
Well,
new thing, but I really don't think there's a pot of gold that big, that close.
yeah, you know who's spending money on this?
Well, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic,
Yeah, I mean all those companies have, but who's throwing the big money out there?
U.S. government is, for one thing.
Well, yeah, yeah, I mean government is too, but the stock market.
Yeah.
Meta's stock, I think, has gone up 25% in the last year and a half.
Well, you know what I heard that attributed to is they finally admitted that virtual reality was garbage and stopped throwing away so much money on that. So the stock went up. So now they just found the next thing to throw all their money away on. And I'm sure when they finally stop developing AI, their stock will jump up again as they say, oh, good, he finally stopped throwing money into that furnace. So let's find the next furnace to throw money into.
Yeah, that's right. Google glasses, right? Or Google goggles.
People say the latest ones are getting pretty good. The Ray-Bans and other ones like that, they're actually like light and nice and good looking. So there may be actually some augmented reality products that are worth something. But again, that's not turning into the pot of gold people thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, Meta, they had a virtual reality or augmented reality, right?
Oh, they
Oh,
did. They made
Apple.
this thing where you can pretend to have a conference call and you have these
Yeah.
strange little avatars with no legs. And the idea was during the pandemic. I remember Microsoft even made a product that would simulate riding the subway to work, thinking this is a valuable part of your life that you miss. So all these harebrained, it's just like 1999 when they had pets.com to sell you dog food online. Just any excuse to use the new technology, assuming that any stupid idea with this new tech will be a hit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, I think didn't last time I look up that Microsoft has dumped their augmented reality?
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah,
But somebody made one they say they're actually getting pretty good, but the fact is there's not much of a market for them.
yeah. You know, the Microsoft one I tried that was augmented reality, that actually, in my mind, made a lot of sense
Are you
to a
wearing a
certain degree.
are you wearing a big cardboard box on your head? Is that how it works?
Yeah, kind of. You're wearing kind of like an oversized Geordie glasses
Okay. Yeah.
on Star Trek,
Yeah.
but you could see the room that you were in.
Right. That's why augmented reality is a lot better than virtual reality, where you replace the whole environment and then it makes you sick to your stomach and stuff.
Yeah. And you know, the one that makes the perfect sense about that is teaching somebody how to do something. So for example, you could have a remote teacher and you could be taught in an extreme example how to do surgery,
Right. Or how to fix a
right?
car or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
or fix a car.
but you
The military was using it to show people how to like load tanks or repair tanks, trucks,
yeah.
things like that.
And so I think
That,
just like
yeah,
AI, it has a market, but it's a
yeah,
small market for specialized activities. They're pretending this is going to be the next iPhone. Everybody's going to buy one. And the fact is, not everybody wants that.
yeah,
Not
yeah,
even close to everybody. It's a smaller niche market. So,
yeah.
yep.
So we'll see. We'll see. What other stories you
Yeah.
have?
All right. Well, I got a couple of politics ones, of course. there's a guy in Oklahoma, the head of the education department, who has been hitting headlines for doing the stupidest things possible. Like he required every classroom to buy Trump Bibles to put in the classroom, and wants incoming teachers to be screened by PragerU's right-wing orthodoxy test to make sure you're qualified, like you are going to teach them things like the 2020 election was stolen. That same guy was caught in a Board of Education meeting streaming pornography through the big monitor. The people were in there trying to have the meeting, and behind his head, there's a porn movie playing. And one of the people says, "Wait, what is that on your TV?" Oh, that. Let's see. Oh, there, turns it off. Okay, there, got rid of that. And then there's no further comment. And the thing I like is I always wondered this. It keeps on happening. The Republican that's screaming about gay rights is secretly hiring gay prostitutes, and it happens over and over and over. And Keith Olbermann finally explained it to me, what he calls the tennis scoreboard theory of morality. These guys think that every good thing you do, you earn a point, and every bad thing you do, you lose a point. So if I pass a law outlawing trans cross-dressing shows, then
Yeah,
I can go out with a male prostitute and that cancels it out, right? See, I've canceled out my sin with the good thing I did.
that's the indulgences,
It
is it
is.
not?
It is. And I think I would always wonder, what's the psychology of this? Because it always seems to be the loudest voices condemning stuff are secretly doing it in their back room.
Right.
And I wonder, that's one explanation I hadn't heard before. But anyway, once again, it happened. Another Republican making an outrageous fool of himself. And he's trying to claim, well, I had nothing to do with it. Don't say it. That was my porn. It just happened to be in my office, and I happened to be the guy that turned it off, but it's not my machine. you know, um, and so anyway, so RFK is muffling the CDC's flagship health journal. They missed a publication month for the first time in their 60-year history. It used to be the gold standard of medical advice, but it isn't going to be anymore. And now scientific articles must obtain clearance for publication from RFK Jr. before they can publish, even though he, of course, has no credentials for medicine or science at all. So everything, and the same thing is being true of CBS now. The CBS, there was a huge turmoil over it canceling the Colbert Show. But the real problem is, as part of the merger agreement, which was approved, they're now going to have an USSR political orthodoxy officer at CBS who will vet the news coverage to make sure that all the news coverage meets with the Trump administration's interpretation of not being biased. So the corporate news will become even more right-leaning propaganda, basically turning CBS into Fox, which is what we all expected. And it goes along. The incredible corruption of the Trump administration goes on. Like the thing all over the news now is that he sent his personal lawyer to make a deal with Ghislaine Maxwell, so she can testify something which he hopes will get rid of. She's going to testify. Oh, only Democrats were on the island, and Trump didn't do anything, in return for getting a pardon. And so, but apparently, quite a few MAGA type right wingers are no longer accepting this. They really believe the QAnon stuff, that we're going to stop all the child sex trafficking, and Trump pardoning the child sex trafficker and concealing his involvement in it is just not going over well with them. So this is the thing. Trump's leading a cult, but there's a lot of people on the right that really don't love him or believe everything he says. There are certain limits. Like I remember one time he tried to tell his people to take the COVID vaccine and said, "This is a great thing I developed. You should take it." And they all rebelled, so he had to become an anti-vaxxer. There really are some things that the MAGA people believe, and they're willing to go against Trump on it. And it may be that this child sex trafficking thing is something they're not willing to just overlook in him.
Hmm.
And I was amazed. Because if he had just released everything right away and said it happened decades ago, this is nothing new, it would have gone away in a week. Him hiding it and trying to cover it up is making the story. This reminds me of a quote from the Bible: "The guilty flee when no man pursueth." The reason it's a story is because Trump is trying so incompetently to cover it up. He's acting so guilty. Anyway, that's all the politics I have.
I see. I see. Well, we're on a little bit of politics.
Yeah.
TikTok is sort of back in the news again.
I,
Have you been following that?
no, now they were going to be banned and there was a delay. What is there? Another delay now or what?
Well, they can't find a suitor, and the suitors that want to buy TikTok want the algorithm,
I thought it would be
which,
Microsoft or Oracle or something that was going to buy them.
yeah, that I don't know.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen.
I can't use TikTok, but I've been watching YouTube and they have YouTube Shorts, which seems to be about the same thing. I think by the time they get this settled, it's not going to matter. There's going to be alternatives that are sufficient competition.
Yeah, but Sam, we're of a different age group.
We are. Is TikTok still the number one thing for kids? I don't know.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
And, this goes back to what was it, January 19th, where they got an extension. They got an extension,
Right.
and now it's coming up. It'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
if they get another extension or not.
Well, the TikTok company bribed Trump, so she suddenly became pro TikTok. And by the way, apparently the political TikTok greatly enhanced his chance of being elected. So I think he discovered TikTok
Right.
as his best friend, just like he discovered that cryptocurrency is his best friend. Trump found out that these things can make him money, so he's all for them now.
Yes, I'm looking here. According to the New York Times, they've got an extension to September 17th.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see. Like, supposedly the tariffs are going to kick in the day after tomorrow, but he's probably going to taco and delay them again. That's why he said, the stock market didn't fall on the latest
Right.
tariffs. They said that's because nobody believes he's going to actually do it. Because
Yeah.
like a few weeks ago, I saw an article that said he has changed the tariff policy 50 times so far. So how can anybody plan a business in this climate when something super important that affects your bottom line a lot just keeps jerking around randomly?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Trump says he has a buyer.
For TikTok. Well, if they would just make up their mind and do something,
Yeah.
stop changing,
Yeah.
then people could plan. But the tariffs are the big one. Yeah. Anyway, well, I got some InfoSec stuff.
Okay.
I didn't know about this. There's a thing called the Google Pixel 6a. I'm not using Google phones, so I don't know. The 6a is apparently a smaller, cheaper version of the Pixel, and it's extremely popular, but it has a little defect, which is that the battery is defective and explodes. And so they pushed out a patch with a major update, and the major update weakens the battery a lot. So it has a lot less lifetime. So apparently puts a lot less charge in the battery to make it safer. And even after the update, somebody's Pixel exploded. He has a picture of it showing how it caught fire. So and they said, Google did not recall them. Maybe they should have. It looks like they're really badly made and they're really dangerous. And anyway, I would imagine maybe they will be recalling them and replacing the batteries as the scandal grows. So that's the
I see.
problem. That's the problem with lithium batteries. I know when I rent an airplane, they're getting real worried about where your batteries are and make sure they're
Yeah.
out in public view so we can like see them if they catch fire or something. So anyway, China has made a robot that really looks good straight out of science fiction. This is the full-sized humanoid robot called the L7. And they have a video of this thing dancing. And then they have a video of it working at like an Amazon center, picking up packages and putting them in sort, and then picking up cups and picking up like a box of tissues, fragile things, and showing it can really pick them up and see what they are and sort them into bins. And so it really looks like a useful humanoid robot that can really do a lot of the things humans can do. So that's interesting to see. And of course, that's what everybody wants is then you can really fire your workers and replace them with robots. And obviously you could have your Amazon fulfillment center with these things throwing packages around. So,
Yeah.
and the thing that amazed me, I saw just before the podcast started, is Elon Musk has the first success with Neuralink. They've implanted Neuralink in two humans, and then the woman that got it was paralyzed for like 20 years, and now she can control like a mouse cursor and sign her name on the screen. And she said, "This is wonderful. Uh, It was brain surgery. They drilled a hole in my skull and placed 128 threads into my motor cortex. The chip is about the size of a quarter, and she can't walk with it yet, but she can control a cursor and do like call it telepathy. She can use her mind only to control a computer screen, and that is the first step. After this, I think obviously I didn't say anything in the article, but obviously the next step is to get like a robot body, like that Chinese robot, and control it, and then she'd be able to walk again.
Hmm.
And I'm amazed to hear this because all I ever heard about Neuralink up till now is that it's effective, it's horrible, they're trying it on monkeys and it kills the monkeys. I had no idea they were up to human trials, but there are now 2 human patients that have got it installed and it's working. So hopefully it will keep working. Previously, it quit working after a while. The leads would like get cut off by your healing process. People would get infections. The monkeys would get infections and die. So hopefully they've solved those problems. They're up to human trials, and if they have, we're moving a step forward to improved cyborg technology, which would greatly help paralyzed people and so on, and then eventually be used to augment healthy people. But anyway, we're not there yet, but there's a big step in that direction. So another win for Musk. Musk does a lot of good things. It's too bad he's a Nazi, but he really does a lot of good tech things, just like Henry Ford. I mean, he makes these
Yeah,
cars, but he's a Nazi. That's why humans are just complicated. They're not just all good or all bad. Everybody has a good side and a dark side.
yeah, yeah. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
On I think it was Mythbusters towards the end, or maybe it was a spin-off show of Mythbusters.
Mhm.
It was interesting in New York, I think it was New York. They had two of the cast members um, controlling each other. So they went to a restaurant, and one of the cast members was wired, and they stuck electrodes on the muscles on her arm,
Oh,
and the other cast member also had those electrodes planted in muscles, and she was able to control the movement of the other cast member's arm.
right. Well, that's not that different than Galvanic making a frog's leg kick. I mean, controlling like a motor muscle, that's
Right.
that's been around for a long time, and that's not too surprising. It's connecting to the brain is the new thing
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they've done it
So,
in a few cases to study like epileptic seizures and stuff. But having some kind of long-term implant that you live with in your brain, I think, is what nobody has solved yet.
oh yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Except
But
there's
yeah,
ones like people get
yeah,
implanted devices like a pacemaker that are totally inside, and that happens. I've got a friend that has one of them. People often get those for things like Parkinson's, but this is having IO port in your
yeah,
brain
yeah,
is
yeah.
is the classic science fiction cyborg thing. You plug yourself into the computer, and now you can access computers with your brain. We're getting there, apparently.
Yeah, well, that was the $6 million man or bionic woman, take your choice. But
Sure,
that was a little bit of augmentation though,
sure. And
right?
the Borg, it's been a science fiction
Yeah,
staple forever. And I think we all see it coming. At some point, you won't have a keyboard and a mouse. You'll just have some kind of direct communication between your brain and the computer.
right, right. We'll see about that. We'll see.
It's something everybody wants. Like if one who really wants it is like jet pilots, how to really control an airplane really fast, like a fighter jet. You don't want to even waste the time to have the time for your motor neurons to go. You should be able to control it with your brain. Anyway,
Yeah, I think, Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there about a 25 millisecond, or is it 250 millisecond, quarter second reaction time?
yeah, I've heard this. I know that's why they say you need to have 1 car length for every 10 miles an hour because it gives you 1 second to hit the brakes.
Yeah.
Considered a reasonable amount of time to do it. Less time than that is not considered safe.
Yeah, so that's the reaction time. I think it's 25 milliseconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, one of the two. I might be off
Yeah.
by a
But I mean,
factor
this
of
is a
10.
common science fiction staple. To get the really best performance out of a fighter jet, you should have a brain computer interface. And a lot of things,
Right.
like if it actually worked. I remember when I first heard this like 20 years ago, Sergey Brin said, "We're going to put a Google chip in your head." And I said, "That sounds great. I want one." And then I sort of saw Elon Musk's surgery failures. And I said, "Well, maybe I don't want one until other people try it out first."
Right, right.
If it just worked, that would be great. But if it doesn't seem to be working yet, but it is a big step forward.
We're getting close, and there
Yeah.
might be that point that it doesn't work,
Well,
or we run into a technology issue that might take decades to fix
that's
or
right. I mean,
overcome.
just like
Yeah,
space flight and everything else, the early pioneers risked their life in a horrible thing that doesn't work very well, and much later it'll get pleasant and luxurious and reliable.
right, right,
Like, I don't
right.
want to go to Mars and die like Musk's team. I want to wait until they have the Starship Enterprise and you can get in a comfortable thing and safely get there. That'd be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was like the first flights, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Get in this
Yeah.
horrible bicycle contraption and jump off a cliff and find out, oh, gee, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
nobody has to do that. Speaking of which, there's Aeroflot. Speaking of horrible
okay.
flying experiences, so the Ukrainians hacked Aeroflot. And what they found is Aeroflot is running on Windows XP and Server 2003, and the CEO has not changed his password since 2022. So they say it was pretty easy to hack into Aeroflot, and they destroyed 7,000 servers and workstations and stole all the data, and they took the data files and replaced them with crude insults against Putin, overwrote them with insults about Putin. So Aeroflot has canceled like over 100 flights in the last few days. Their computer systems are totally trashed. Everything is down, and the Ukrainians are laughing, ha ha ha. So this is cyber war. And I didn't know it was that bad. Windows XP and Server 2003. Well, any of my students could have hacked into that. It didn't
Oh,
take super
funny.
advanced techniques. Um, and then there's the T app. The T app is one of those women only apps. But I remember when the pandemic hit, there was a women only app, and I tried to fool it with like a picture of a model on a cover of a newspaper magazine, and I couldn't convince it I was a woman to get in. But this is a woman only app. Somehow they restrict it to women only, and it's where women can complain about men they've been dating and inform other women that this guy is a bad guy and you shouldn't go on a date with him and stuff. But then they took all the data and just stuck it in an unprotected Amazon bucket. So people found all the user data a few days ago and dumped it. And now they found all the private messages are just on another unprotected bucket. So those have all been dumped too. So this turned out to be probably a lot less valuable to the women using it than they thought. And so many people do this. They make an app, you tell them something private, and they just throw it around like nothing. So very many people do not understand cloud security. So they just make some cloud database and they don't understand how to secure it. This is a very common problem. I remember like 5 years, 10 years ago, they said SQL injection is the number one vulnerability in information security, responsible for more stolen data than anything else, until Amazon buckets came out and eclipsed it as a way to lose even more data faster. Anyway, um,
Yeah, Sam, that kind of brings up an interesting issue,
mhm.
and it's kind of part of a broader issue. But if you have a dating site app for women,
Yeah.
and it could be for men and I guess this came out, Are You Hot or Are You Not? Is the guy version
Well,
of,
there's a bunch of them. There's Grinder. There's a bunch of them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but aren't they for specific sex only?
They have zones. Like I think you tell them your preference, man seeking man, man seeking woman, or something. Then they put you in a different area.
Yeah, so then you could do a rating system, but potentially, could you not alter the rating system with multiple personalities or a bot?
Yeah, I think that's an issue. And I think, in fact, I think some of the famous ones, like Plenty of Fish and stuff, have been talking about how they're trying to enforce some kind of like where you have to make a video and show them your photo ID so people will stop putting up pictures that are false, claiming to be pretty when they're ugly and stuff like that. That's apparently a big issue. People put up fake profiles,
Yeah,
which make
yeah,
them look
yeah,
more
yeah.
attractive than they really are.
Got it.
There's a lot of problems, but of course, the fundamental problem I think of from the information security point of view is just privacy. Whatever you send
Right.
over should be restricted and not just leaked to the whole world. For example, I think the Ashley Madison, right, the cheating site that got hacked,
Oh, right, right,
and
right, right,
and
right.
Grinder got hacked, and it turned out you could physically locate people on Grinder, and a whole bunch of these things have got hacked, which is, and almost all of them are private data that really needs to be kept private because, like, you're gay and you don't want people to know, or you're cheating on your wife and you don't want people to know. There's a lot of reasons people want to keep their romantic adventures private, and these apps have a very bad track record at, in fact, keeping it private.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Have you got?
All right. Let's see. What do I got next? How about wearable cooling devices?
Oh, I've seen people like fans in a hat.
Yeah. So it turns out, if my sources are correct, this is the hottest year on record so far.
Oh, yes. Everyone has been for like the last 10 or 15 years. Global warming is undeniable.
Yeah. Well, except I would argue in the Bay Area, this has been one of the coolest summers we've had so
Oh, it
far.
has. And they say what it does is it disrupts the airflow. So it changes the weather in strange ways. But the rest of the nation
Yeah.
is suffering terrible heat right now. I see people complaining about New York City and stuff. We're just lucky in the Bay Area.
Yeah. We've been lucky this summer,
Yeah.
although yeah, summers don't get that hot here.
Yeah.
But anyway, it sparked the whole wearable cooling device industry. That's either low tech, which are just battery powered fans,
Mhm.
or high tech, where you've got these cubes or balls that are cold you can put in your hold in your hand.
Are they just
And
cold in the freezer or what?
yeah, yeah, something. They're AI. I don't know. I'm making
But
that
how do they
up, but
create the cold? Do they actually have an air conditioner in them?
I'm not exactly sure. It's a canister that you hold,
Well, there's
and
some that have like a fluid in it, like antifreeze.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
there's other
yeah,
ones. There's actually something called thermoelectric coolers, but
right.
apparently quite inefficient, and they're really only used like in computers to cool one chip or something. You know, not really something you could carry around in your pocket and accomplish much with.
If I remember right, they're called pelter chips.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of the opposite, where you've got a couple metals, and so you can, it'll absorb heat energy and you can transfer it kind of like a heat pump
Yeah,
from
that's
one
right.
side to another. Yeah, they're very
But
inefficient.
that's not something
They're,
you could carry in your pocket. And
no, but they also have cooling vests. Like one of the applications that I heard was for airline ground crew who are
yeah.
unloading baggage from planes. You can't really say when a plane lands up, baggage isn't coming off the plane for an hour and a half because it's a little too warm out there.
Well, you need to get one of these humanoid robots out there.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing that they're doing is they're tracking people's temperature. So if you're working out in the field or you're
Yeah.
working on the tarmac and your body temperature starts heating up, you can have a supervisor or somebody get warned about that and then replace somebody and pull them off and let them cool off for a bit.
You know, iPhones are already, or Apple Watches already do something like that. I went and took a vigorous hike uphill in the hot
Yeah.
weather, and the Apple Watch freaked out and turned on alerts and started buzzing and saying, "Do you want to call for help or a doctor or something?" It was measuring something. I assume my pulse rate or something, but it got pretty upset about the temperature and pulse rate and said, "You might be in trouble." So that's good. That's already happening to
Yeah.
some extent.
Yeah. The problem with that is you have peripheral temperature and you have core body temperature.
Sure,
And the two can be different. And what's most important is core body temperature.
sure.
Because that's your brain. And if that overheats,
Yeah.
then that computer in your head gets a little wonky.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the heat stroke is a real thing, and
Right.
it would be a good idea to have some kind of detection and response.
Yeah. Yeah. You got another story for us, Sam?
I do have a couple more. So you remember, so several years ago, America blocked China from getting any advanced chips, thinking we're going to hold them back in AI. And I remember a lot of people said this probably isn't really going to work. And boy, it's really not working. Huawei has now developed their own AI computing chips that they say are as good as NVIDIA's most advanced offering. So, that's what they said. They said, well, you don't really need us. They'll just build their own chips that are as good as our chips. And apparently that's what's happening. So, and the last one I have here is so Britain, as you know, has started enforcing age verification for using internet sites.
Okay,
So,
right.
and I remember when just last week, I think I said, well, this might work. And you said, oh, the kids will figure out how to get around it right away. Well, that's what happened. So they
Which
have
one? Who won? Who won? The
the
kids, right?
kids won. Yeah. So immediately they posted on a forum how to get around this. And the answer is to have the game. There's a game called Death Stranding. And when you play this game, the game will require you to verify your age to reach certain parts of the game. And it uses a you can turn on the age verification, and then all you need to give it is a photograph of an image from the game of an adult called the character is called Sam Porter, played by Norman Reedus. You can just take a photograph from the game and present that as your picture, and it will let you in. So, this is
So,
like what I
so,
tried to get in the woman only app by holding up a magazine with a picture of a woman on it. Apparently, some simple technique just involving having this popular game installed lets you in. So it's not succeeding, I guess.
so what you're saying is in Britain, millions of kids are using the same image.
Yes. And this
Eh,
game. And apparently, what happens is the age verification is somewhat up to the app. So there's an app that didn't do it very well, and you can just come in that way, which is the kind of workaround you'll find. Oh, well, the reason is because they say for privacy, we don't retain the image. Therefore, they don't know you're all using the same image.
Ah,
Remember, I've got
and they don't do a hash of the image to see that they're
apparently
all the
not.
same.
And
Yeah.
this like when I get on an airplane now, they say they'll take a picture of you and it says the picture will not be retained. They just take a picture and somehow connect it to your driver's license or something. Every time I get on an airplane now, I have to do that. It's the
Hmm.
same kind of thing. They say they're not retaining the image. By the way, that T app required not only your driver's license, but also a selfie. And I think they were supposed to delete the selfies, but they didn't because they said they were required for some legal compliance in case of an argument later. So all the selfies and photographs of your driver's license were all stored on an unprotected database, and they've all been hacked and are leaked out now.
Ah,
So, that's the problem. Whenever you give a company something, you wonder, what are they doing with this information? Are they just selling it to a data broker or putting it somewhere stupid where everybody can steal it? And the answer is probably yes to both of those things.
all right.
It's a brave new world.
So, Sam, let's kind of turn the clock back to the good old internet days.
Yeah.
And what was the one that you talked about? What service?
I
Um,
mean, you're the
did
one that gave you ads? Net.
no, no. What service? Internet service that just made no sense. Oh, I know. It was buying pet food
Oh,
online.
yeah. Pets.com. That was one of the most stupid examples of someone rushing to the internet with a poor business model that did not work.
Yeah, the one that I remember is dry cleaning online.
How would that work? You mail your clothes in or something?
No, all it
You
was an
know,
app so that somebody would come out to your house, pick up your dry cleaning, and bring it back the next day or a couple days later.
before they tore it down, I went to the oldest hotel in America, the Hotel Pennsylvania, for Hope. And one of the Hotel Pennsylvania's huge technological advantages from like 1890 is the doors are thick and curved. There's the door to your hotel room has another little door inside it you can open and put your suit in there and close it. And then they can open it from the outside and dry
Ah.
clean your suit because, of course, it's 1890 and everybody has to have a suit. So they were real proud of that. That was their high tech, valet service.
So it was kind of like a hollow door
Yeah, yeah,
that had two doors to it.
that's right. Just sort of like a dumbwaiter.
Yeah,
An
yeah,
easy way for you to get your suit prepared for you to rush out and, go sell Hopper's magic elixir all day wearing a nice clean suit.
yeah. Well, where I'm going with this story is, have you heard of the hotel called WAG?
No.
So the
Uh,
hotel,
includes dogs?
yeah, it's for dogs. The company was valued at, you ready for this? $6 million.
That's not very much.
Yeah, and they just filed for bankruptcy.
Oh.
And one has to ask if you're paying, this is premium rate, $500 a night for your pet.
The dog only or the human plus the dog?
No, the dog only.
So this is like a kennel service.
No, this is WAG. It's a hotel for dogs.
Okay, well. This reminds me of there was a company that went totally broke selling office space this way. It was one of the huge failures of about 5 years ago. Um,
Do you remember who?
we work
We
maybe.
work. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They had this idea that you would rent office space, and it turned out to be very poorly. The business model was very bad, and they lost an amazing amount of money.
But I thought we work is still around, isn't
It
it?
is, but they lost. They had like $100
Yeah,
billion. First, they reevaluated it. They went way down. They lost like most of the investment money from their first rounds of capital, and then I think they managed to shrink down to a much smaller size. It
yeah,
turned out they
yeah,
thought they were going to have a huge market, and it turned out to be a small market.
yeah. Well, I thought, didn't they get a boost during COVID?
Yeah, that was the idea. COVID is where it started. A lot of and the famous
Yeah.
investment firm gave them a ton of money, which was all lost.
So it's kind of like Airbnb for work.
That was the idea.
Yeah,
And it turns out Airbnb really is a good business model. A lot of people want to use that. WeWork turned out to have not be worth it. And they did something like buy a whole bunch of real estate, hoping to rent it out and then not be able to rent it out or something.
yeah. Well, Airbnb might not be the way to go, or short-term rentals. Maui, the island of Maui in Hawaii, has just this went through a committee that has recommended that all Airbnbs in Maui be abandoned or turned over to residents for affordable, not affordable housing, but to make it affordable for locals to buy housing and
I've
get
heard,
rentals.
yeah, I've heard this is a problem that all the stuff that would be on the rental market is instead deflected to Airbnb, and now your locals can't find a place to live. That's one of the many problems. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. However, if Maui does this, the only place you can stay on the island, short term wise, is going to be a hotel.
The way it used to be.
So, pardon?
The way it used to be.
The way it used to be. Yeah, yeah. So, that I don't know. That gives there's no free market there, I guess.
Well, I mean, what you ought to do is you ought to have some reasonable compromise, I suppose.
Yeah,
For example, one other problem with Airbnb is areas are zoned residential, which means there's only supposed to be one family per house. Then you break your house into 10 pieces and have 10
yeah.
drunk teenagers partying in there, messing up the place. And that's kind of a violation of zoning rules. So, I find Airbnb useful. I think a lot of people do. I think it just needs to be regulated to not make too much trouble.
Yeah, and that regulation, how long has Airbnb been around? For at least a decade, right?
Yeah,
If
yeah,
not
but
more.
yeah,
Yeah,
but like Uber and other internet innovations, it sort of blasts through the existing structure, often breaking the law, often creating problems, and then you have to somehow regulate it and get it under control.
yeah, yeah. So
That's
we'll see. We'll see. But on the other side, Maui is somewhat unique in that it relies on tourism.
right.
So
That's the thing. I would think you wouldn't want to do anything to choke tourism there, but you also need to have some affordable housing, so you've got to reach some kind of happy medium.
yeah, and what complicated this was the fire that took place in Lahaina.
Oh, uh,
Remember that fire a couple years ago?
no, I don't remember it, but
Oh, it destroyed the entire town.
uh,
And
that'll create a
people,
huge shortage of housing then.
yeah, there's a huge shortage of housing. And I think out of the thousands of homes that were destroyed, only a handful have been built.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, I know that's the problem in California. We have so many homeless people because it's so hard to build new houses here that there's not enough housing being built. And that's why I think Gavin Newsom is trying to do something about that. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why Trump just had an executive order saying the problem is homeless people are all on drugs. You need to put them in rehab or forcibly incarcerate them, which is what Gavin Newsom wants to do. But the experts I've heard say that is not really the problem. The problem is there's not enough houses. Houses are too expensive. So a bunch of people are homeless. I don't know.
It's a bit more complicated. Let me just go
Yeah.
back to Maui.
Yeah.
So, Sam, just so you recall, I think 127 people died in that
Oh,
fire. I mean, it was a big fire, like the Paradise Fire or the SoCal fire. It was driven by high winds, and it looks like the power lines started it, and there was poor response by, well, I won't say poor response,
yeah.
but it was a lot of commotion, a lot of miscommunication by fire and police.
Yeah. I remember
And
the
it's,
fire here where it turned out that they didn't have compatible hoses.
yeah, yeah, things like that, things like that. And what happened in Maui was they were evacuating people and there were down power lines, and police were taught and told that if you see a down power line, don't let people pass because it could be live.
Right. Yeah.
So they created bottlenecks, and it turned out that the power lines, I think, were not live,
Yeah.
but the police, cited on the side of caution. You're not going to let somebody go out there and see if the power line is live.
Yeah.
And so the power company didn't communicate. And it's kind of the other sad part about this is I think there were people that jumped into the Pacific Ocean and they kind of swam offshore. They were there for 4 or 5, 6 hours before getting rescued.
Yeah.
So that was a big fire. So Maui's in a big mess, but um, there's a housing shortage. And the other issue that they're having is the tourists aren't coming back.
Well, yeah. Yeah. All makes sense.
So, yeah, yeah. All right. I've got one more story. You've got one. You have one more.
Well, go ahead. I don't have any more.
All right. I've got a Trump story. Let's get back to the politics.
All right.
Trump has stablecoin
He does.
and
Wait, no, he has a meme coin, and I think he has a
yeah,
trading exchange, and I think he also has a stable coin. Yeah. He's really jumped
yeah,
crypto with both feet.
yeah. So just so people know, the stable coin is tied to the dollar,
And
right?
can you explain why anybody would buy this? Because it seems to accomplish absolutely nothing. You have a dollar, you buy a dollar coin. What was the benefit here?
As somebody pointed out, I think I can give you the best example, Sam. If you go into a casino and you want to gamble, what do? You take your
You
dollars
buy
and you
poker
trade
chips.
them. Yeah, and you buy poker trips or tokens.
Yeah,
There's no difference.
right. And that's essentially what it is. You only do this so you can buy crypto
Right,
at the crypto
right.
exchange. Okay,
And the crypto is tied to the dollar.
right.
So unlike a meme coin where it's not tied to the dollar, stable coins are tied to the dollar, just as poker chips are.
Right. So the only reason to have stable coins is just to spend them on crypto later. Holding stable coins would make no sense. You might as well just hold the dollars.
Yeah, and this is kind of where the volatility comes in because those coins could increase in value, just like Bitcoins have increased.
Well, stable coins can't increase in value. They're pegged to the dollar, but they can fall, which has happened several times because they don't keep enough dollars in reserve. And
Yeah,
so, I mean, that's why stable coins have no upside and a downside. That's why it's hard to understand why anybody would use them. The only reason I know to have stable coins is because you're a volatile trader buying and selling other crypto really rapidly. And so you want to have your stable coins right there to buy, like a day trader that's buying
to
stuff
get
and
out.
selling, yeah, buying stuff and then selling it
Yeah,
frequently and buying more. So you want to keep it in this type of currency that can easily be converted into other kinds of crypto.
I see. Whereas, okay, that I did not know. So what you're saying is if you have it in stable coin
Right.
versus meme coin or highly volatile coins, you can trade in and out where you don't have to go to an ATM, if you will, to put your money in to buy
Well, yeah. Yeah,
Bitcoins.
I mean, you put them in stable coins because you are investing in meme coins and Ethereum and Bitcoin. And so you're constantly adjusting your profile. Ethereum's going up, so I'll put it in Ethereum. Now I think Ethereum has hit the peak, so I'll pull it out of Ethereum and put it in Doge. Then I'll pull it out of that and put it in DJT. If you really are that kind of guy, then you will have a balance in stable coins waiting for
I
the
see.
correction.
I see. Yeah,
For a
because
normal
otherwise,
for a normal human being, I can't see any reason why you would buy a stable coin.
yeah. So what you're saying is it would take too long to get in and too long to get out.
Yes. In fact, with know your customer rules
Okay.
and the attempt to avoid tax fraud, it's actually very difficult to get your money into crypto systems these days. You have to send up verification and everything, or you're limited to a small amount. It's
Yeah.
hard. So that's the reason why you might use a stable coin, just to get into, like you say, like you have to buy poker chips to gamble. The poker
Yeah.
chips are not useful. A normal person wouldn't want any poker chips. You only use them while you're in the casino.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the best analogy that I've heard, and you've
Yeah.
elaborated on it. So here's the thing. Trump in office is not supposed to be able to make money. Am I correct on that?
The emoluments clause. Sure, he's not supposed to do campaigning from the White House either. And he totally ran the Republican convention right on the White House lawn. So he just totally ignores laws like Elon Musk and just gets away with it. And besides, the Supreme Court said he can break any law he wants now. So he is a king. He's above the law.
There you go. So what's happened is Trump has investments, or Trump doesn't, but people have invested $2 billion
Oh,
in
yes.
Trump's stablecoin.
Yeah. And also, yes, that's right.
And
It's
what Trump
bribery.
is,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
It's bribery.
Yeah. And Trump is able to make money off of the interest.
Oh, even more than that, if you buy Trump's meme coin, he actually pockets 20% of every transaction as the fee, which is outrageously larger. That's why Trump's meme coin is the most outrageously exorbitant form of theft ever. And because his meme coin, like most of them, fell by like 95 or 99% within the first few weeks.
Yeah.
But he got 20% of the original transaction price of all that stuff. So I mean, it's like it's worse than any casino game in Vegas. Like it's a 20% house edge is considered outrageous. That's just basically turn you upside down and shake your money and take it.
That's credit card rate, or it's on the low side of credit card rates.
It's like loan shark rates. Yeah.
Yeah. But credit cards, aren't they in the 20 to 30% rate?
I don't know. I tell you, I pay mine off so I don't have to pay it, but
Right. That's the
they
secret
might
with
be.
credit cards, pay
They
it
might
off.
be. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty appalling,
yeah. Anyway, so our president is making money.
which is outrageous. And he's taking huge bribes. Like I just read, he just approved, by the way, NVIDIA to send one of their powerful AI chips to China without restriction, which violates the ban. But this came mysteriously after Huawei paid $1 million to show up at his inauguration. So Trump is just transactional. If you want anything, bribe him and he'll give it to you.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
All right, Sam, that's it for me this time.
yep,
Go
yep,
out, go out tonight if there's clear skies and see if
yeah,
you can see the meteor shower.
yep. And if the politics depresses you, I recommend going to a protest. It makes me feel better. Anyway,
All right, we're
okay.
going to join on August 1st, huh?
Well, Friday, whatever that is, sounds about right.
Friday is August 1st.
All right. All right. That's it for this one.